ladies collection, Raga, premium watches. And apart from that, I also have one more unit in Hosur, where we make the cases for them. So, and apart from that, I've got multiple other businesses, ranging right from interiors to real estate to, a clinic. We also run a psychology clinic along with my business partner there in Bangalore, where we deal with patients with stress, anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies, and all that. So that's a brief profile about myself. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Santosh. Are you here? A little while ago.
I'm
yeah,
here.
Could you switch on the camera, please?
No, I'll come next time because
Okay, no problem.
I
Please go
just
ahead.
got up. I was not well. That is the reason.
No issues. I hope you're better soon. Please go ahead with your introduction.
Yeah. Myself Santosh, and I'm from Bangalore. I do real estate in 24 countries, but especially I'm taking care of US market. And my second business will be on university admissions, again to the US market and worldwide. So in real estate, I focus more on above 5 crores to 20 crores property range. On a land parcels or any properties for warehouses or corporate companies. This is my business particularly.
Thank you, Santosh. Hope you get better soon. Ronita? Are you here? Sailaja? Okay, so let's go ahead. It's almost another 6 minutes to get started. CK, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Chalian Kurvilla. I'm based in Bangalore. Come with about 43 years of experience now. Spent about close to 30 years in the corporate sector in various leadership roles, Xerox, Airtel, Reliance, etc. In the last 15 years, I've been a business mentor and a coach, working with entrepreneurs and with corporate leaders. So as a mentor, I work more with SMEs, family businesses, slightly more mature businesses, helping them to scale up their business, helping them to restructure their business in a more structured and professional way, the way large corporates operate. So that is one thing which I've done. All kinds of clients. I mean, it could be manufacturing, it could be IT, it could be healthcare, it could be education, it could be mental wellness, it could be Pilates, it could be interior design. So all kinds of clients, because at the end of the day, our business is a business, right? So it's just helping them to restructure and scale up. I'm also an individual leadership coach, so I work a lot with corporate leaders and do one-on-one individual coaching for them to help them evolve as leaders, handling large teams, large businesses. So that's broadly my background, a mix of corporate experience and being a mentor and a coach for the last 40 years. Thank you.
And thank you for accepting the request to speak as a keynote speaker for the next session on the 30th of November. And as we have a little time, CK, if you could just briefly talk about the GTM versus the CTM, which you are going to be talking the next session. It would be an interesting thought for people here to, come back with in the next session on the 30th, which is an in-person session. So please do talk about it a little bit.
No, like I was mentioning, when I'm working with entrepreneurs, there are a lot of them who've been around for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. They've reached a particular level, they got their product or service off the ground, they're making some revenue, they're making some profit, but they're not able to scale up. They're not able to scale up the way they need to scale up or they want to scale up, right? And that is where this whole, because my whole background in corporate was in sales, marketing, operations, P&L. So you look at it from a business point of view that how are you going to scale up your business, right? A lot of the companies that I work with have traditionally been depending on inquiries coming into the company. Right? based on what was social media activity they do, they get inquiries coming in either through their Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it is, right? And most of their businesses come through converting those inquiries. And very little effort in actually going out to the market. Now, identifying the target segments, identifying the products, identifying the geographies, and figuring out which are those things that are going to work segment by segment, what is going to be that strategy, how they're going to stand out. So go to market is more about how do you go out to the market, different ways of going out to the market and tapping your target segments for your product or service. And the come to me is more about what are they doing to get more inquiries into the system, right? What are the various social media tools that you're using, right? Many companies use one or the other. Some people rely on a sales team largely, some people rely on inquiries. I think it's always about getting the right combination. So that session is going to be more about that in terms of how do you get the right balance, right? Because both of them are important for growth. It's not this or that. So I think that's broadly what is going to get covered.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interactive session, and we're trying to do a hybrid session of it where we will have an in-person meeting, but only for out-of-station members. We'll also have a live session going on, Zoom session, which will only be sent for people who can't travel across cities. But we're really looking forward for that session. And even this is being streamlined on my Facebook. Please, if you want to share this link with anybody else, I will share the link once it's done on the group. You can share it out. So with that, our speaker for the day is just logging in. I would request one last time, any of you would like to introduce themselves, please do so. Rahul just joined in. Hi, Rahul. Thank you for joining in. Ronita, Darshan, Snoopy, Sailaja, whoever missed out can just quickly finish their introduction. Yeah, Drishti.
Yeah, so actually, I was just trying to figure out my mic and I couldn't. So we moved on to the next person. So it's not an issue. Hi everyone, I'm Drishti. I am actually working in Bangalore, but right now, like my hometown is Delhi, and I have like what's nearly 5-6 years of experience in e-commerce and marketing and all the online marketing and all that. So yeah, basically I am a newbie as compared to everyone else here. But I'm just here to learn and just to grasp.
Nice. Good to have you here, Drishti. And the thing Khuze just messaged, the speaker just messaged that he's logging in. Until then, again, do not laugh at me, but I genuinely believe that it's your visibility that you're letting go of. Rahul, you're typing. Is there a challenge with your mic? Okay, so if you can, please switch on the cameras for everybody, a little bit of an introduction about me. I've been a community builder for a long time. I'm a people's person. I always start with my personal introduction because I again believe people associate with people. So it's very important for you to know about me. I'm a people's person. I derive energy from all of you. I love being around people. I love sharing my journey, my experiences to make lessons for yourself, for the people around me, for my connections. I've been out there from 2005 in the social media and the network everywhere. So there's huge connections, built a lot of, network across various platforms between LinkedIn, Facebook, and Insta and WhatsApp connections. I can easily say that I have around 50 to 60,000 connections. Apart from that, I've been able to build relationships in my last 30 years of journey where if I pick up the phone and call up someone I spoke once in 20 years back, they would immediately, the first ring would answer and speak to me. That's the kind of, credibility and relationship is what I have built. As a business profession, I'm a growth hacker. I'm a growth mentor. I work with matured startups and mid-size and just a little bit ahead of the large entity stage and traditional businesses, family businesses, as CK also said. Apart from that, deal closures, community building, execution, that's my core strength. This community is my comeback or resurrection from where I was, and it's close to my heart. So a very warm welcome to all of you. And there he is, the speaker of the day, Khuze. Good morning.
Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing okay.
Everyone's doing okay, but behind the cameras. You know how you and I are when it comes to people sitting behind cameras. Do you have any ideas up your sleeve, which I don't, to make people switch on their cameras, Khuze? Because I've been out of this game for some time. You are in. So tell me, any tricks and trade secrets?
So what we do typically in our community is each one calls out the other person, and then we wait till they turn on the camera. So for example, I will say Tejal, and then Tejal names somebody else, and like that we get everybody online.
Shall we do that, or shall we move on? You're the call now. The floor is yours.
I mean, it's also Saturday morning, and I'm sure people want to take it easy. So it's
Yeah.
their choice. But yeah, it would be nice to see everyone. Also get a sense. Maybe we can start with a couple of interactions, and then we can go from there. Just to get a sense, how many of us in this group are currently in business? If you can just use the reactions and just say yes, or leave a chat saying yes. Everybody who is in business right now. I don't know what this.
Do you see any?
5.
Yeah. Around 6, 7, I guess. We just finished the round of introductions.
Okay.
Before you came in.
Then
So
rest of you guys are employed and looking to start up. What stage are you guys
a
at?
couple of them, Nikhil and Ashutosh, are employed and looking to start up,
Right.
and a few are at the ideation stage.
Right.
And then I think around 5 or 6 are, or just started out. And 3 of us here, Hafiz Bhai, CK and I, are mentors and
Veterans of the entrepreneurship. All right. So let me quickly start with a little bit about myself. And
can I do that, please? Come on, that's my job. You
Go for
see,
it.
you came into the scene and took my job away. You literally wait for it, right?
Go for it, Salma, all yours.
Oh yeah, right. After you trying to make get me to be jobless, huh?
Never.
Anyway, guys, I give you the floor, Khuze, to introduce yourself on what you are doing. But I guess the community needs to know our background, our history, right? So, and as you know, Khuze, you know what it is with ProdWorks, with this, with all our past, right? Community is about people. So
Yeah.
for everybody, Khuze is a decade-old best friend forever for me. As a person, we've been in and out of everything, business, professionally, personally, we've seen it through. But something about him that I would like to say, and the reason why when we started this community and the first keynote online session, I wanted him to be the keynote speaker is because that's one thing about him that I've seen in the last 10 years. He is someone I have seen. I can easily call Khuze diaper days as an entrepreneur. Literally. Yep. So I've seen him through his diaper days as an entrepreneur. I've seen him as a aggressive networker. I've also seen him as an amazing relationship builder. But most important, I see the glow that he gets on his eyes the moment somebody talks about some innovative product. I see how he gets excited about working on business automation, business innovation, and coming up with the latest technologies, pushing his limits. I have seen him work with college students with some crazy ideas where I would tell him, कि यार ये नहीं होगा, this will not happen, but he would not give up. The other thing that you should know about him as a person who you'd be listening to for the next hour or so is that I literally call him the perfectionist, because I've seen him torture people for 1 pixel here and 1 pixel there, and they'd pull their hairs off, and they would come running to me to save them from him, right? He would not give up without bringing the best out. And the last but not the least about Khuze is it's just not tech knowledge. Very few in the technical world, in the tech industry, do you get people who are so deep, hands deep into the business side of it. And that's the key, right? Most often you create products and then you know nothing about how to sell it, how to make users come and use it, right? And very few in the industry, especially in India, where you will find people who will, understand even before working on the product, will this work or not? As in his introduction, I had put, he looks at things from the user base. And that's what excites me working with him. And I know him and I have not been in constant touch as we used to in some time. There's some exciting things he's working on. So I'd give the floor to him to introduce himself on the things that he's working on, including ProdWorks Khuze. And the floor is now yours. You can now take over.
Here I was trying to pass off as a young guy, but like with the history, it's very clear how long I've been doing this. No, thank you, Sarma. Very sweet and kind of you. So I've been doing this for about 12 years. I graduated from Anaya University and worked for a year in an IT company before I decided it was too much and quit and started my own company. In 2012, it was the time of e-commerce websites. So I was churning out e-commerce websites like nobody's business. In 2014, one of my customers I'd gone to visit in the US. She told me, Khuze, it's time to stop working in your business and start working on your business. That's when that light bulb moment happened, and we thought about starting to build a team. 2014 is also when I built my first product called Hisabing, which is running successfully till this date. But the journey of building Hisabing for 3 years is basically what helped me understand the gap between what a product founder thinks about, what a dev understands, and what a user really wants. So essentially, there is a three-way gap. And that's the gap that we offer as a service to startup founders in order to be able to help them build better products, capture the market, get investors, all of that stuff. Over the last 5-6 years, have had the privilege of working with startup founders across the spectrum, from idea stage founders who we have scaled to 10 million ARR, to large enterprises like PVR Cinemas or Kaveri Hospitals, with whom we have partnered and reimagined what some digital products that they can launch. I'm a Chennai-based guy, based out of Adyar. We have a 150-member team, and yeah, so we're split between product and tech. Apart from that, I also run a community called ProdWorks. We are about 5,000 members. In fact, our first event is coming up in Bangalore. And then we recently started a venture studio where we invest and take up startups and we work with them. We've done 3 such deals already, and we're looking to do about 30 in the next 3 years. So that's about me. What I think we want to be able to talk today. And it's a small, intimate crowd, so I'm hoping that it can be a lot more conversational. I am here to be able to share what I am seeing from my vantage point in terms of what are some interesting technology trends, what are some interesting things that industry is asking for, what are some cool projects that we are working on, and hopefully that, ignites some spark for you guys, and I'll be happy to share uh, wherever I can. So the first one, which is like I have a list, and I think I'll just go with it.
Jose,
Yeah.
I have a question before you get into
Yeah.
the main topic. You've traveled a lot, you've worked a lot, you're working with a lot of global brands and clients, right? And you've yourself traveled and stayed in the Silicon Valley and stuff, right? Before we jump into the tech trends or things that's happening in India,
Yeah.
give me the point of view from your side, the difference between what's happening out there versus what's happening in here. I'd love to. I think it would be good perspective for people to understand that aspect of technology first.
It's a very good question. And last time when I was there, I remember my conversation with an Uber driver. And I'm always chatty and trying to understand what you do and etc. And this guy went on to say that he in fact was actually a blockchain startup, and he was doing an NFT collectible, and he's just interestingly he's riding cabs not for money but to meet founders and investors in the Silicon Valley. So that to me was like and this was consistent. Right now the hostel I was staying in, full of entrepreneurs. Um, every cafe will have some sort of a tech feature. So that was very interesting for me to be able to see entrepreneurs that are so with it, right? And every day, that's all. That's the ecosystem that they are in, and that's the echo chamber that they're in. That they're listening to, talking about technology, and it's not just me too technology, right? It's technology that is interesting, it's new, and they want to make a difference with it. So that was interesting. But also on the same hand, I think India right now is a fantastic place for entrepreneurs to be in. We are fifth largest economy, one of the largest markets in the world. And if you're solving for problems or opportunities rather in India, there's no place to be. There are a dozen and one problems that are all around us. I think it just takes that bent of mind to be able to be like, what do I do with it? And my hypothesis always has been contrarian to what a lot of the VCs say, which is that start with something really, really small. Start with a very, very specific niche, and then build on that niche eventually. So, while Silicon Valley and everything is exciting, I think India is a place to be. And I can actually back that with data. There are 9 venture studios that had been successful in the US that have in the last year opened up their offices here in India because they have opened up offices for Indian entrepreneurs solving Indian problems, right? So we are on a upward trajectory as a whole, and I think it's the wave to ride for us as entrepreneurs for sure.
Perfect. Please go ahead.
Right. So technology trends, it's an ocean, but I will just, as I said, I'll talk about it from my vantage point. The first one, which is the most obvious one, of course, everybody talks about it. One of the investors that I know jokes about the fact that all startups ab malai maar ke chahiye hame, that it has to have some component of ML or AI. वो मलाई होनी चाहिए तभी it is interesting. But that's of course the big one right now. But I think the opportunities, the one that is obvious in front of us is your Chat GPT or a Perplexity or a Hugging Face equivalent. But I think the real opportunity I think is to be beyond API plus plus, right? That's one of the buzzwords that we think about at Siam, which is that what can we do above and beyond just using a ChatGPT API and build a service beyond that. Now, for example, even Sam Altman talked about it, that if you are building a product which is let's take a step back actually. So we are on the 4th generation of ChatGPT, right? We are at GPT-4, and billions of dollars have been put into figuring out what ChatGPT-5 is going to be, 6 is going to be, and Singularity is or general AGI, artificial general intelligence, is going to be at ChatGPT-7, which is like talking to anybody in this room, right? Like being able to speak to anyone here. If you're building with just an API of ChatGPT and not really adding on any services, your businesses are going to be at risk. But if you're doing some value add above and beyond that, right, then it's a very interesting business model which will be difficult for ChatGPT to consume. Let me give you an example. We work with a startup called Swarna.io. What they do is they have built a healthcare companion bot for seniors, so people above the age of 55. Now, what it does is this is on WhatsApp. A senior can talk to it, ask about anything from what gifts do I buy for my grandchild to, to this morning I woke up with nausea. What do I do, right? And these are complicated workflows that need to be thought through. And of course, it uses ChatGPT and several other models in the back end. But taking that very, very specific problem for that very specific user case, I've seen incredible results. They're doing really well. There's another company called August AI, which basically has replicated you talking to a doctor. And just don't just take my word for it. Go download. It's again on WhatsApp. Go see August AI and say anything, and it'll give you a very fairly comprehensive diagnosis as to what to do next. So invitation here is, of course, there is Gen AI, but think about how you can layer Gen AI in your businesses if you're building a product. But if you're a service, right? Like if you're doing anything from consulting to coding to whatever it is, then think about how you can use Gen AI as part of your workflow as a tool. Just like how when we started using internet and replaced books, it was a tool that became mandatory and necessary, or a laptop or whatever it is. So Gen AI is that tool. It's going to amplify our productivity, and we have to think about how we do that. Now, in the whole AI bucket, which is very large, there's also vision, which is very interesting. I know lots of companies in India, of course, also in the US, who are using image processing and machine vision to do interesting things at the factory level, right? So there's a company called CWise based out of Chennai. What they have done is they have, using the cameras that are inside factories, they can predict, they can monitor and raise an alarm if some safety procedures are not followed. If the way of manufacturing is not followed properly, again, they can preemptively raise alarms, right? So that much later on in your QC process, this is not an issue. A lot of the t-shirts that we wear, I know a startup based out of Coimbatore that has a on edge image processing startup that looks at the thread count as the thread gets weaved, right? And so Arvind Mills is one of their customers. Now, if you're wearing a Reebok or Nike, any Peter England, all of those companies are using this tech now and reducing, quality time for quality inspection. Rather. So image processing is everywhere in daily life also, right? I don't know if it's there in Bangalore, but in Chennai, if you break a signal, the cops send us a ticket, right? So it's there. The tech works. Again, the invitation is, can you think about a unique way that you have an insight about to use this technology in solving for it? And finally, again, in the overall AI bucket, the third bucket that is very interesting is prediction, predictive maintenance, predictive health, all of that stuff, right? So For example, there's a company here in Chennai called Twin Health, valued at $1.7 billion, and done about $250 million of raise. Very good friend of ours, Dr. Maluk. What they've done is you just need to wear a CGM patch. For CGM is continuous glucose monitoring, right? So you put a patch on your skin, it monitors your diabetes for 14 days. So it monitors your glucose levels for 14 days. And glucose is metabolic condition, right? You don't have to be diabetic. It can be about the food you eat, it can be about your workouts you do, etc. And in that 14 days, it basically builds a whole body twin of yours, right? And from that point on, it's able to predict, even if you are not wearing the patch, it's able to predict food that you will be intolerant towards, when you might have a downward mood swing, why your sleep cycle has not been okay, and things like that, right? And again, why am I talking about these examples is that these are not technology somewhere out there will come, etc. As I said, this is a $1.7 billion company. Their whole business model is to work with insurance companies in the US, and they only get paid if they show a difference, right? So if they will onboard a patient, and if a patient has HbA1c of greater than 1.8, their whole business model is only if I bring it down by 1.1, I get $10,000, right? For every difference they make, they get paid. So the tech works, it's at scale, it's at adoption. And the same predictive maintenance is being used in factories, it's being used in BFSI, banking and financial sector. Lot of work. And the thing is, interestingly, we are already at the back end of it, right? Like a lot of work on which mobile numbers are prone to being fraud because of, you missed your lazy pay transaction some time ago, or your EMI you paid on time and therefore you are good, or whatever it is, right? So using just a mobile phone number, they're able to do a lot of these predictive analysis in BFSI as well. So that's the whole AI bucket. I'm not going too deep into it. We can maybe take questions towards the end.
So we'll just take a stop there and take some questions,
Sure.
and move on to the next part of it. So please go ahead, unmute and ask questions if there are any questions there. So till others and just remain unmute if you have a question. I would like to kind of start this question thing first for you, Khuze. So you're absolutely right when you shared that we are at that stage where how adopting internet was, three different kind of perspective, right? There was a fear factor, then there was this absolute openness to adopting it, exploring, learning about it, building around it, kind of a thing. And then there was this detachment. Quite a few people are like, yeah, wo kuch nahi hoga, it's just going to pass off. It's just a wave. It's just going to come and go. I need to focus on my business. This is what it is, right? So that was the three side of the spectrum, right? And I think even for AI and all these technologies, we are exactly at that stage. Because being in the ecosystem, we are exactly having these three category business owners or startup founders who one, they say like, what, AI is here to come and replace my people in the system and it's going to take over my business and take over the world, kind of a fear. Then there is this other side, right? So how do how, my question to you is, how do we bring that common space where slowly an existing business which is detaching itself from this transformation which is going to happen, how can we take steps, especially we who are there to enable them, to kind of slowly adopt this? Like you worked with traditional businesses as well. So some thoughts on that.
So a lot of people ask this question, is AI going to take my job? AI will only take your job if you refuse to use AI in your job. Right? I think it's clear as daylight. For example, in our company, we are devs. And this is maybe an example about how to think about this, right? Now, IT industry by itself is at threat because a lot of the dev work that is happening can be replaced. The code is generated using Gen AI and things like that, right? So I relate to your question that founders will be like, oh, either I can ignore it and be like, no, 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 it's still too buggy, even though the code is written, it doesn't work or whatever it is. Or we made it a mandate that, okay, I agree it is not 100%, right? But what is the percentage of improvement can we get, right? And the internal benchmark that we aimed towards and achieved was 40%. The 40% of work, that code that is being written now at Siam, is backed by AI or generated by AI. Now, what does this mean? Again, you can see the glass half empty or half full, right? But we are, Salma, you and I are half full kind of people. So, what does 40% reduction in coding time mean? Is not 40% reduction in workforce, but it's more 40% of projects that I can take, right? And I can turn around projects faster. I can give better deadlines to my clients. And it's always, there's a law I forget. The more something is available, the more there will be in demand of it, right? So now that there is the faster turnaround time, there is more work that we can do, more results that companies are able to see that they have adopted tech. There's more demand of, okay, we need the next feature and the next feature and the next feature. So I think it's a very mindset thing. Now, there are different stages at which you can be a startup founder or a traditional business, and how will you think about some emerging technologies? First is, you will be in a stage where you don't know what you don't know, right? Like you don't even know what is possible out there. Forget implementing it in your business. At that stage, I think it's important to find ways to expose yourself. One way, kudos to you, is to come to events like this. But otherwise, go to there are lots of industry events happening right now focused on AI, focused on very industry specific solutions like GITEX that happened last month was mind blowing. Lots of NASCOM events, etc. Put yourself out there, go see what other people are doing. As I said, lot of the solutions that I'm talking about are here right now. It's not that someday, soon it's going to be here. So that's number one. Number two, think about, I understand change management is difficult, right? Like at get go, using or bringing in AI, even in our company, was not easy. But what are some small units of change that you can take a bet on, right? So this project, can we start with just this project? We will use some amount of AI, or this process of manufacturing, which is very low risk one, can we take up AI to use in this? So that's number two, right? Find ways in which you can make some small incremental bets, right? And the final thing, with regards to adopting emerging tech, and which is the difficult one, right? Now, with each wave of tech, Salman, right? Like we've had the computer revolution, then let's say the internet revolution, the mobile revolution, the cloud revolution. With each wave, the business rules have been rewritten, right? And Uber was made possible only because the mobile revolution happened. Now, as Fast Track, okay, or as any other cab company, if you're only doing number two, which is incremental changes, okay, you will only get incremental benefits. You won't get exponential benefits. For number three to happen, which is that we need to rewrite the way business rule happens, requires a lot of ego dissolution. Okay. Why do I say that? Is because you'll be like, okay, if all of this is true, if AI can and will replace a lot of the things that I'm doing, how will I reimagine my business? Right. And I think that's an important activity to do if you don't want to be overtaken by a company or a competitor who will be an AI native company, or who will be a new emerging technology company, right? So number three is, can you go with your leadership team? Can you find a mentor or a coach? do a couple of days of session where you do a pre-mortem. Ki, let's say ki today AI is all prevalent and it works like mobile apps or cloud or whatever. If that is true, what will happen to our business, right? And therefore, what do we have? What chance or ability or opportunity do we have to actually evolve ourselves versus a competitor coming and making us redundant? I don't know if that made sense, but
Absolutely. Absolutely, it does make sense. But I'm going to take a follow on thing to you. You
yeah,
know how it works with us, right? With you, me, and our such sessions, we challenge ourselves. So I'm going to give you a challenge here. Let's simulate your innovative thinking. Let's take up a case here, which is a very traditional business. Okay, there is Tejal here with us. She has her own, just a 1 minute, please. Save, yeah. So she has her own line of skincare products, which she's just about to launch, very early stage. Now, if you have to bring in some kind of this Gen AI approach to it at this
yeah,
stage, what would be those things that you would let her, tell her to open her mind towards
yeah,
or think towards or trigger her thoughts towards?
yeah. What are some things that you've already tried, Teju? I would like to understand that.
Tejal,
So
come
I'm
again?
yeah, hi. I was
Yeah,
going to ask the same question. Thank you so much for asking, Salma. Yeah.
go ahead, please.
So I'm fairly new into the business, and what I have done is I've just set up my website is will be set up soon in 2 days. Like I've got the integration and everything done, and I have my social media going on. I have products which are closest to its purest form, like
Yeah,
almond oil and bakuchi oil and jojoba oil and some essential oils, etc.
yeah,
So it's basically skincare and hair care products, but I would also like to get into, a one-stop shop solution for all body hair and skin needs. So probably might include some mustard oils and olive oils and other things like that.
yeah,
So all products that are closest to its natural form. That's the whole idea of this. So
yeah,
I'm just, taking baby steps, doing skin and hair first, and then slowly will evolve into food and everything else.
right.
So what is that? What is that I can do from the AI side to get the business more, to the next level?
See, in consumer business, the main thing that we want is consumer insight, right?
Yeah.
Because the mistake that most consumer brands or like the generic consumer brands make is that my product everybody will use, right?
Oh,
But the great brands understand a very human emotional connect. Like if you see a Cadbury ad, it's
hmm.
doesn't talk about chocolate or it says kuch nahi
Emotion.
ho jaye,
Huh.
right? So now that's coming from a consumer insight. So I would start if I were you, I would first start using AI to do a whole consumer insight project, right? Now lots of tools like Relevance AI and ChatGPT. So I'll use ChatGPT to first think about what kind of questions I want to ask. How will I segment my market, right? To each of them, what kind of questions will I ask? Then I'll use Relevance AI to automate my interviewing process. Now I need to get in touch with some customers, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I will use that to get AI to make calls, ask the questions on my behalf, get answers. You will get transcripts. You can go through those transcripts and then completely build that whole
Content.
is one of getting consumer insight that by the way, my product is super relevant for mothers in Assam because they have a unique tradition of using almond oil for the first 2 years of their children.
Hmm.
Like, I'm just hypothetical. This is completely hypothetical. But I've now gotten that insight, and then I will market to that and capture that market and then scale from there on. So consumer insights is one. Lots of obviously you will use Gen AI for a lot of work on your website, collateral, brand, etc. And you know, don't there are lots of good paid products that can really fast track your process. Like we churn out website in a day because you can give a lot of cues and prompts and get a template more or less done. And then
Yeah.
you just have to
Yeah.
make changes.
Yeah.
Packaging is going to be another one. Again, you can play a lot with Gen AI in terms of both the design of packaging as well as content on the packaging and how that goes. We know a fantastic company based out of Australia that in fact just uses AI to do packaging generation for consumer brands.
I would like the link to that company.
But they work with like really PNG and all that stuff. So I'm not sure. But anyway, I can connect. So that is the whole part from consumer insights, building out your website, your brand collateral, all of that stuff. Then doing your packaging with it. Then I would also add a whole layer of AI in terms of post purchase. Now that you have bought it, uh, here is a WhatsApp number, especially if you're targeting moms, right? And they love a brand that gets involved, right?
Yeah.
So ask questions on how is it going? Do you have any issues? Vagera, vagera, right? And make that journey really personalized. So again, I would use post customer experience for AI in your business. So I mean, just top of the mind thoughts, but the beauty is that in the venture studio that we're also building, like a 2-member person should be able to run this whole company, right? Like we're getting to that age and era where there is going to be a lot of AI agents doing your work,
Yeah.
and you have deployed them on your behalf. Yeah. I mean, we
Perfect.
can talk offline
Yeah.
and I can share links to a lot of these solutions as well.
Sure. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you. In opening for last shout out for any questions before we move on to the second part of Khuze's speak. Any questions? You can move forward, Khuze.
All right, so very quickly, some of the other areas that I think is very exciting is, of course, the second one beyond AI is the whole AR/VR space. Now, I don't know if you guys are following, but this year, Apple Vision Pro came out with spatial computing, and then Meta came out with Orion glasses. And both of these are really cool technology that is going to shape how pervasive digital is going to be in our lives, right? Like, so Salma literally could be wearing those Orion glasses and as I speak, get information about different users. We don't know if she's listening to us or watching a thing on Netflix or whatever it is. But if you are a completely, now this is shifting gears, right? Like if you were a completely new startup, not a traditional business, right? And there is no sort of there's nothing like really holding you back, I would invite you guys to look into this space, right? Building products, apps, solutions. Think of it as the next wave of mobile, right? So mobile happened, that was a new interface that was in our lives. If there is going to be another new interface that comes up, what are some of the solutions that will be needed? How are some of the existing solutions going to be reimagined? One use case that everybody talks about is a cookbook, right? When recipes went from a cookbook to on the internet to on the iPad to on the mobile phone to now on a glass, I can get step-by-step instructions of add 2.5 spoons of dhania powder. Now let it wait for 5 minutes, right? Because it's getting all those inputs and visual cues inside. So I think that's a very interesting space. We know a company called Medicine VR and also another company called Skillberry. They use AR for training on surgeries, and Skillberry uses it for training of blue collar jobs. What does that mean for surgeries? Actually, if you think about it, one of the most expensive or difficult things for surgeons to get is actually bodies to practice on, like real human bodies to practice on. And that's one of the bottlenecks that a lot of medical colleges have. So they are solving this problem that majority of your experience of learning which nerve, what to do, etc., happens via VR. And then final last 20%, you actually are able to use a real human body to learn, practice, get comfortable, and things like that. So I think that's a very interesting space to think about. If you're completely new, how will you reimagine the next generation of interactions that humans are going to have with technology? And another thing that I would like you guys to maybe think about is, think about it like this, right? So I am a millennial per the definition. So my dad is a digital migrant, right? So he was born in the telephone and the CRT TV era, and then he was a migrant into the whole cloud era, right? So mobile phones didn't happen natively in this, but I am a digital native, or my sister is a digital native. From the time she was 10 or 12, she had a mobile phone, and she understands it very well. That's why you see a gap between my dad and me, both from interface acceptability, but also trust. Ki Swiggy mein order kiya to aayega. It's not going to take money and run away and things like that. Now what is happening is that I am an AI migrant, right? I am not born into the AI era, but kids in school right now are AI natives, and for them, um, it is going to be for AI natives, the trust, like us, right, like digital natives, is going to be much more higher. So all of the things that right now feel a little cringy to us, okay, I will talk to an AI girlfriend or an AI boyfriend, might or might not be so much out of the realm for an AI native, right? It's an hypothesis, but just think about it. Like, what are some of the AI native things business models that will come up and be relevant? So, okay, so we have talked about AIML, then we've talked about AR, VR. Some more seeds I will leave, and I'm sure we're almost out of time as well. Space and geospatial tech is very, very relevant right now. You guys already, I'm sure, are following what is happening with SpaceX. SpaceX is democratizing the fact that we can get satellite time. But this week I was on a panel discussion with someone. They run a startup called Aqua Connect, and it was mind blowing to me that Aqua Connect, you can actually go to European Union's website or an ISRO's website, and for very reasonable cost actually book a satellite time to take pictures of a particular area, right? And then you can use those images for other things, right? Like, so they use it to actually predict where they're in the farming business. So they use it to predict where demand is going to be, which areas are growing what, and then they, in a very targeted way, they send their sales reps to those regions. So space tech is again something that is democratized, is going to be within our reach. Lots of startups. Yesterday night also I met some people in Chennai. Lots of startups doing this. Solar paneled planes, hot air balloons that will stay in the air for months together and cover a particular region. And then you can block time off that for anything, for communication, for imagery, for whatever it is, right? So all of that, I think in the next 5-10 years is going to become relevant. Drones, of course, we are already seeing lots of big companies in this whole space, like Detect, almost $1 billion company using drone for doing inspection of oil rigs and whatnot. And Salman, you mentioned a water drone company also, right? That does dam inspection. So again, all of this, we are living in very interesting times, according to me, and there's opportunity everywhere. Similarly, I think transport is a big one in terms of new and emerging tech. Now, for India, I don't know how the problem gets solved.
I would just stop you there for a minute.
Yeah.
Because before we go to the mobility, the most important thing is you said some amazing technologies, amazing work happening, things that we have to look at. But tell me the truthfully, right? Like for us as especially business leaders or traditional business leaders or startup founders, where do we get the resources, the right people to work on such technologies? Say, assuming today I've got a business. I've got a client I'm working with, right? They're in a manufacturing company. They want something to come in where they're ahead of the curve in these things. But how do we, one, identify the
Yeah.
right people to kind of come and build the system in? And
Yeah.
how do we know that they are the right people, right?
Yeah.
Where is this knowledge coming from?
Yeah, I think be part of communities like this, communities like Broadworks. Come and talk to me. I can definitely help you and put you in touch with right people. Read a lot. There's a lot of conversation happening on X, on Substack. Uh, People who are, at the forefront of this, building solutions. Um, you will clearly see now. That's the beauty, right? Now you will clearly see ChatGPT generic things versus very specific. This is what is happening on the ground. Like I'm telling you, if there was an AI model, he would have given you a very ChatGPT answer. Okay, these are the 7 things, but uh, I can tell you this company is doing this and this company is doing that and whatever it is, because on the ground we're seeing what is happening, and can bring you examples. So yeah, I think I'm a big fan of communities and finding people via communities. But of course, there are online Substack, X, as I said. I don't
Okay,
know.
there was a hand raised by Gautam just before we move on. Gautam, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, yes. Actually, thanks for sharing a lot of stuff because that's so insightful. So my question is, like, I work in a traditional business where people just come in from 11 o'clock in the AM and 2 o'clock, and after the lunch, 4 o'clock till the 6 o'clock, the owners are there. I'm not able to connect with the owners throughout. So that's where we are only facing. We're able to connect only 6 hours, but he has to take care of his work. I'm in a trading business of yarns. To give a clarity,
Mm,
because they create fabrics. So I want to go to talk to them. I just have
yeah,
a 6 hour timeline. In the
yeah,
6 hours, they have to take care of their work as well. So they don't give me importance. So I'm
yeah,
just trying to utilize AI or some business tools where I can connect with them more, even though
mm,
the time is not a constraint, because my employees will have more access. In the same time, they can connect with 4 employees, 5 customers
yeah,
from the same location. They don't have to travel to their location and talk to them, so that it will be like one person at a time. It's a
yeah,
waste of time, money, resources,
yeah.
and everything.
Correct. Definitely, I think look at WhatsApp and look at integrating AI into WhatsApp. It's about that's the thing right now. With AI, you can now be available at the time when your customer is ready, not when you are ready, right? And you can definitely set up systems in which that you have trained AI to have knowledge very specific to your business, right? So I'm not saying use that's what I was saying in the beginning. Don't use ChatGPT API. Think about how you can use API++ to train AI on your knowledge. If you have catalogs, if you have your website, whatever it is, right? So your proprietary information you can train AI on and answer basic questions. And then above and beyond that, you can also create a workflow that if AI is confused or doesn't have any answer, that's when it activates a conversation with a real human, right? And you step in and set up a meeting and whatever it is. But everybody now in the new generation, everybody wants do it yourself, DIY, right? Don't sit with me. Don't, like, if you go to a shopping mall also, like, I will look on my own. Don't do anything. So we need to build the tools to give that, empower our customers, saying, okay, here is all the information. Whenever you're ready, I'll be available for you, right? So that is possible. We built a very simple, just to give you an example of what you're saying, we built a very simple AI solution for within our company, right? Called Siam Mate. Now it is integrated into Slack, which is what we are using to communicate. And now any employee can at any point message the Slack bot and be like, okay, how many leaves do I have left? Um, what is the holiday policy? Who should I inform? Right? Typically, this they will tell the HR or they will take leave without telling or whatever it is. But now there is an agent available at all points, and it has been trained on our company policy and whatnot, and is able to answer those questions to employees at any point, right? So yeah, again, if you need more inputs on how to build something like this, I can guide you and whatever it is. But It's very simple. Lots of do-it-yourself tools are available that you can use to make this.
Yeah, I love to connect and have those tools set up because I feel that's the one of the major problem I have. Because people they just wait 2 to 4 o'clock. They are not nearby. They have to travel 1 or 2 hours to be
Yeah.
there on time and just commute to and fro. So I'm just trying to reduce the commute and get more productive through the time which we have.
Mhm.
So thank you for these
Sure.
insights.
Yeah. I'll tell Sarma to.
You, Khuze, the last phase of the session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just had a point. Can I just get
Yeah.
in here, CK? Yeah. So I think, technology is always seen as something alien to many people. Like you said, the people who have not grown up in the technology era, right? But when you work with small entrepreneurs, SMEs, family businesses, right? I think if somebody patiently explains how this can actually help productivity, how it can actually make things more efficient, how it can help the same team members do a better job faster,
Yeah.
I think that is not happening. That education of the clients is not happening. Technology is keeping on coming. But,
Yeah.
For example, I work with an interior design studio here in Bangalore, right? Earlier, they would meet a client and then they would have to give a 3D drawing, and the 3D drawing would take a lot of time because they're depending on a designer to manually do it, right?
Mm.
And customer was getting impatient waiting that long. And in the meantime, they would lose the customer, right? Now they use AI to get a quick 3D concept drawing, which they can share with the customer in 2 days' time,
Yeah.
right? At least give the client, a basic idea of what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
If the client indicates interest, then they do the actual 3D drawing, right?
Right.
So it's about using technology to improve business.
Yeah. Fast track a lot of
Yeah, it's
things.
not a threat. It's not a threat. I mean, it's often seen as a threat. And most of the older, businesses are not open to the idea of adopting technology and the benefits of the technology.
Yeah.
So what are your thought on that? I mean, having great amount of technology is good, but getting the users to actually see the benefit of it. You see a gap there?
100%. And that's where I said, right, like, why did Siam computing exist is there's a three-way gap. Okay, because there is something that the user wants and they are not able to articulate it.
Yeah.
Then the engineers always love to over-engineer, right? So they'll take a thing and be like, okay, you want to build a form, I will build a form to build a form which will have the most complicated architecture. And of course, there is the founder who wants to make money and all that stuff. So there's a three-way gap over here. Now somebody needs to sit and listen to the user, say, okay, what is your actual problem?
What's your pain area? Yeah.
And how do I simplify this? And then how do I communicate this very clearly to the dev or to the technologist and say, this is all that we want. We don't want too many things, right? And then make the dots and make the connections. And that's where the business idea is. If you see, most of the startups will fail because they don't get adoption, not because they didn't have great idea. And adoption doesn't happen in part is because the core value proposition is not addressed. We are trying to force a value prop on someone. But as soon as I don't remember ever seeing an ad for Zepto. As soon as somebody told me that this is a thing, it clicked. The value prop is clear to me. It's 10 minutes, I get my groceries done, right? So, and it takes that's to Tejal, again, same thing. It takes time and effort to do that consumer insights, do that research. And as you perfectly put patience, right? Like, I know everything but I need to be able to sit with you, talk to you, communicate in a way that makes sense to you. All of that is also important.
Thanks.
Done.
Perfect. So, yep, the last part of it. You were talking about mobility and I had stopped you there.
Yeah, so very quickly, I'll just list it because it's a little beyond maybe just the current forum, but mobility, self-driving cars, there are lots of very interesting companies in the US doing this. In Phoenix and in San Francisco, I can book a self-driving cab on my app and get it. What is the opportunity for us? And similarly with EV, right? Now, since we are a forum of SME, what is the opportunity for us? One of my cousin's entire business is the fact that he is an ancillary company to Hyundai. right? And if mobility is going to be reimagined, right? What are the parts and supporting processes that will be needed for these companies to be successful in India? And actually, this is a very good point to, one question you had raised, right? Like my job will go away. A lot of the mobility companies in the US are actually creating newer AI jobs because there are people driving the AI is driving the car, but now there is a whole human command center that is always monitoring. And these are jobs that never existed and have now become possible, right? So humans will always find ways to find work for ourselves, right? With each turn of tech, we find things to do and create more wealth for us. So yeah, I think that basically covers the entire list. Of course, this is not a very exhaustive list, but some pointers that I wanted to just leave you guys with. And hopefully it sparked some interest, some ideas in what you guys can do.
Excellent. The last shout out, any question, or we close the session here? Perfect. So thank you so much, Khuze. But before you end, tell us about ProdWorks and invite us for your ProdWorks event, because I will be sending the event details to all the members in BEC.
Yeah.
And, yeah, ProdWorks is as my baby as BEC
Of
is.
course.
Do tell us about the event.
So next Saturday, we are doing an in-person event called Opportunities in Building for Bharat. So ProdWorks, as I said, is a 5,000 member community. We focus on product founders, product leaders in the startup space. We've largely been a Chennai-based community. We've done several events over here. Great turnouts. Always we are house full, 100+ people. It's an open, free event. We try to get some of the best speakers to come in. For the coming event, we have the founder and CEO of Apollo Ayurved to be one of the speakers. And then we have a couple of soft confirmations as well. But the whole conversation is about building for Bharat, right? Like we are 1.4 billion people, largest market. Everybody wants to come into India. But sitting here in this market, how do we build for seizing this opportunity? And we'll hear from founders who are doing exactly that. So this is happening next Saturday, 11 a.m. at St. Mark's Road. There's an office, co-working space there. Please come. And always we'll have great conversations and would love to see you all in person.
Perfect. I will be there for once.
Of course.
So thank you so very much. And for me, Khuze, it's a, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very much. Having you here is a pleasure. Hearing you speak is always a pleasure. You literally ignite things, thought process in my thinking in so many levels. Like I'm literally thinking about CK and I sitting with you to talk about an AI-driven mentor who can actually cater to clients who we've kind of spent a year with. And we want to migrate to other clients and we still can keep giving services to them, right? So we as a team would love to sit down and have a conversation with you to kind of be ahead. We are the gray-haired mentors, but still we would love to understand more on exactly what we do with businesses. So you really helped all of us, and I'm sure there's a bit of you and your technical thinking that we have taken today. Stay connected with us. We will keep calling you back in BEC. There's something, this is also a home for you. And a very, very big thank you for being here.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Very
so much.
informative. Very informative session. Thank
I'll
you.
be sending you
Thank
the
you, thank you.
list. Khuze, I'll be sending you the attendees list today. Please do share the ProdWorks link and the upcoming event to them from your side as well.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Samira. Bye.
Thank you for
Thank
Thank you,
joining.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for arranging this.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Perfect.
Thank you, Salma.
That we've come to an end of the session. Next event in person is on the 30th, the same place, Indranagar. Please do block your calendars. If not, I'm there. I'll keep bulldozing the information onto you. That's my job. But see you all soon. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Okay.